going on, everybody? Hold on, let me get somebody in the chat. What's going on, everybody? You already know this is your boy Narcolepsy Boy 94. I came Malik back here again with another podcast talking everything wrestling. If you guys want to leave some questions in the chat, feel free to leave some questions as always. I try to get to as many as possible. Sometimes you guys come in here and flood with some questions, man. So appreciate everybody who's already in here. James, Fire Reigns, Tito, and Funny Tune. So appreciate you guys for being in here, waiting patiently. I have a guest first on my channel, so I'll let you introduce yourself. Tell people who you are and what your social media stuff is, so people can play.
So my name is Miss T. I'm Jen. I'm a huge wrestling fan, but you can catch me on Twitch because I'm a Twitch streamer. So twitch.tv/Miss Thickums. That's also my social media everywhere. And I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, first question I always ask everybody. I gotta ask everybody this question. Favorite wrestler of all time. Who's your all-time favorite wrestler and why?
I don't know if you can see him in my
webcam, but I can see the picture in the back.
Huge Jeff Hardy fan. Like, I was that kid jumping off of couches. Like, I'm still rooting for him till this day, and I'm so proud that I could say that my favorite wrestler is still wrestling. So I'm definitely a Hardy girl. That's my style.
Have you ever met him before?
No, and I really want to though. I actually have seen shows where the Hardys were at, but I never actually got to meet him in person, like, one-on-one.
No, so you never met him in person or anything like that. That's unfortunate. He's actually still in WWE, but they don't do anything with him. So he's just kind of there. Because people ask me, one of the things people ask me all the time, one of the questions on my TikTok is, do you think Jeff Hardy is going to get another push, or Jeff Hardy going to be champion again? I'm like, they don't push him, man. They're not going to push him anymore. They're past that. Like, they don't see him as, main event top guy anymore, which is unfortunate because he could still wrestle, but I mean, they don't really do much with him. And we got WrestleMania coming up. He's not even on the card. I mean, so he'll probably be like in the Battle Royal or something like that. Or he's probably more there, I think, now, just like for backstage wise to help out talent and, to help the newer generation and everything. So Jeff Hardy was always cool though. I always liked Jeff Hardy. I remember you probably remember like 2008-ish, 2009-ish, when he was like super over in WWE. I went to a couple shows when he had the No More Words theme song and everything, and I went to a couple shows, and man, his reactions were like, he was getting like crazy reactions. Like he was like, I think at the time he was selling like more merch than John Cena at the time. Like he was like that over.
Dude, I want to just let you know that this reminder that you just gave me tore my heart, that I know WWE is treating him, kind of like baloney. And it's unfortunate, but, I think he has taken that veteran role. Like, I think he's helping out younger guys. He puts, anytime he's in a match, he makes people look good because he's just that veteran that can do that. And it's so great to still see. But it is sad. And it's funny because even, people that talk to me all the time about him is like, they'll always tell me like, hey, I think he deserves a big push, just one last run. And I'm like, I know, I want him to. And I think he still could do that. But I know he's also had, his health issues with his body. And I don't know if they're concerned with that. And maybe that's why they're kind of like, hey, maybe, just take that veteran role, take the back seat. It's not necessary. But I don't know if he's content with that because he also does like his music and his thing. So
they should have did. instead of the Shane and Braun Strowman match, they should have did Shane versus Jeff Hardy in the cage, bro. Like, come on, the two most risk takers ever, bro. Like, we never even seen that match. I would have been okay with it just for that one time, just because, like, we've seen them both kind of do. Because I also get the question a lot too, like, who's more of a bigger risk taker, Shane McMahon or Jeff Hardy? And I'm like, bro, like, I be thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know, man, because like they both done some crazy shit, man. Like,
I don't know. That's not even a question for me. Like, okay, Shane is crazy because Shane just jumps off of anywhere. But
and Shane done jumped off the Cell twice, the Titantron. I mean, he jumps off like high. Like, I think Jeff Hardy's more like the ladder guy. Like, he jumps off ladders and shit. But like Shane jumps off like the like these crazy like over 20 feet structure. That's why I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. Because Shane is like when he did. I think it was SummerSlam 2001 when he fell off the Titantron, like 50 feet in the air. I'm like, dude, nah, come on, man. Like,
as much as I'm impressed by Shane, I will make the argument that if you told Jeff to jump all those structures,
he'd do it.
He would totally do it.
He'd do it. I know he'd do it. I think it would just be cool, just to.
Yeah, that would
just
be a pretty dope match. Like low key, I don't think people are really talking about that one. That would be a pretty cool match.
I think it would just make sense, just because. I mean, they only put him in the cage match because we know Shane's gonna jump off something. He's gonna jump off the cage at WrestleMania, so like that's the only reason. That's the only thing people want to see at this point from Shane. It's just him jumping off something. They don't really care too much about this stuff. But I think it would have been a cool. I wish they would. I wish they would kind of let Jeff do something different with his character though. Maybe like Brother Nero, or like even some people even say like Willow, like bring back Willow or something. Like, but do something different. You know what I mean? Because like I think a matchup with like him and the Fiend would be cool if Jeff could get into that character. If they let him get into because he has the face paint, the contact, and everything. So if they let him do something different with his character, and they build him up as believable again, they could do something easily with him if they really wanted to. So.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Like, I think he's pretty versatile. And just to mention also about Shane, I'm like the type of person like looking at Shane and he's always being booked for these big matches, for these big pay-per-views. And it's like, dude, when are you going to call it quits? Does anyone else really think about this? Like, he sometimes worries me. Like, I remember seeing him, recently they were trying to say that he got injured. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if this was true. When is he gonna call it quits? But they're both fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing what they got in store for both.
Yeah, I want to know what they have in store for both too. Okay, so first memory of you watching wrestling. What do you remember? Like, the first time you fell in love with wrestling, or you started watching it? Like, who got you into it?
That's a really good question. So, just to kind of give you guys the backstory of like how I got into wrestling, I grew up all around it. Like my brother was a huge Rock fan, but my sister was a huge Triple H fan. So you already know what my house was looking like. And growing up, we would play like the SNES Raw games. So I was picking, Owen Hart and Hulk Hogan and Ted DiBiase. So I was getting to know them as a young kid, and my brother and my sister would put me onto wrestling. And I liked the Undertaker, like a young Undertaker. I was like so impressed by his character. But I think, when it came to that Attitude Era, I was soaking it in as a kid, but it didn't come into like the Ruthless Aggression era.
Yeah.
I kind of like soaked it in even more, and I just took off on my own. And even though I liked the Hardys during like the 90s, like late 90s, I really took off. Like Jeff Hardy around that time when he was going up against Undertaker all the time. That's when it like really hit me. Like, this is my wrestler. This is what I love. This is what we're about. So
yeah.
it was cool. Both eras were amazing.
What are your question right here? Thoughts on the Hurt Business breakup?
So I kind of made it. I already made a video on this, but I'll talk about it briefly. I don't understand it. Like, why do they do this? Like,
I don't understand it.
I don't understand it because it's like this faction was making Bobby Lashley stand out and look good. I know, and I respect Bobby Lashley. I'm not trying to discredit him as a single wrestler. However, I thought the faction looked so good. Like, why would you break it up? Now, some people might predict, like, oh, maybe they're just going to make him lose at Mania and have these guys come and screw him. Like, somebody told me that, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But I just don't understand it. I feel like WWE really needs to emphasize on factions and tag teams. Like, it's not like what it used to be. And that's why those divisions have taken a hit. Like, here all day.
I don't even have to say it to it. I really don't understand it either. It just doesn't make sense. Undisputed Era is one thing because a lot of people are trying to compare the difference, but I'm like, it's different because Undisputed Era had a good run. They all were champions at one point. Like, they had a great run at NXT. There's nothing really much they could pretty much accomplish more in NXT, and their storyline is actually really good. Like, I want to see Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole at Takeover. Like, I'm gonna be watching that match happily. Like, I want to see what happens. You know what I mean? But the Hurt Business, they haven't even been together for a year yet, and it's just like, I don't understand the whole split up by it. I don't understand any. This could have been a great faction, not only for Bobby Lashley, but for Shelton Benjamin to revive him, and for Cedric Alexander too, because he wasn't doing anything before this. He's a young, fresh talent who has so much multiple talent in his skill set, and then you have MVP too, and it's just like,
who I love, by the way. I was a big MVP fan, like back in the day, like the music.
He was dope back in his day.
Dude, I still argue that theme song is like low key one of the best. Like, it was so catchy. So and you're right. I think that the faction also complemented those characters, and now it's like, do they become irrelevant? Like we don't really know. Like where are they going with this? Like they don't really give us anything to work with here. But let me also, I just kind of want to like get your opinion. Is like, then what do you think about the New Day? Like why do you think a team like that hasn't officially been broken up?
It's they pick and choose. I don't know. It's something Vince sees something in New Day. He sees something in there. They're entertaining. They're good, and it's crazy because nobody cared about them at all when they first got together. Like people were like, "Oh, we don't care about these guys." You know what I mean? And they succeeded so much. You know what I mean? Because they utilized them. They pushed them with the Hurt Business. I don't understand why they decided not to use them. Same with Retribution. Like if you weren't going to do anything with Retribution, why put them together in the first place? You put them together. Just put them together. You took who did they take from NXT? Mia Yim, Dijakovic, Shane Thorne. They tried to take Mercedes Martinez for Triple H snatch her back, but it's like why put them together and put Mustafa Ali in there? Like I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. It's like they purposely do these bookings just to purposely sabotage people's careers or just to purposely piss us off. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like New Day, and he's right. The New Day hasn't officially broken up. Like even though Big E's on SmackDown and he's not with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, but they never did. You know, nobody turned on anybody. You know, they still acknowledge each other. You know what I mean? Like they never officially turned on people. So I don't understand why he pushed them. Which way he should have pushed them because they're really good. But why push them and not the Hurt Business? I don't understand it.
Yeah, just to kind of throw in my own theory about New Day, I think it's personally because of like the fact that they sell merchandise. You know what I mean? Like they're big time. New Day is like in gaming. Like I was playing Gears 5 and they put them in the game. Like it's crazy. Like they're all over the place. So I think Vince knows this and he's like, yeah, we can't really split them up because they're bringing in money. They're bringing in money. But and the Hurt Business though, even though they didn't have so much time together, I did see like they were selling like merchandise. Their merch was actually kind of cool. I don't get it. I don't. I thought
I'm hoping that this is some type of swerve, and the Hurt Business really is not broken up, and they're really gonna get back together. I got faith in it. I have to have faith in that because splitting them up is it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I don't understand it. All right, let's take a couple more questions in here. Prime Macho Man versus Prime Shawn Michaels. Who you got?
Oh, why would they do this to me? Oh, I love Macho Man so much. He was in those Slim Jim commercials, but I do love me some Shawn Michaels. I might just have to go Shawn Michaels because I'm guessing Vince might just make it happen. They might ring the bell. I don't know. I'm gonna go Shawn Michaels. It might go his way.
I love Macho Man too. I gotta go Shawn. I mean, I've said this before many times. I'm sure you've seen it on my podcast. Shawn Michaels is the greatest in-ring wrestler ever. He's the greatest in-ring performer of all time that I've seen with my own eyes, bro. Like Shawn Michaels could have a match with a broomstick and it'd be a 10-star match. Like Shawn Michaels was so good. It's crazy. And Macho Man was good too, but I mean, Shawn Michaels had all the nicknames for a reason. Mr. WrestleMania. I mean, look at all the great matches at WrestleMania, the biggest pay-per-view of the year. Shawn Michaels he was just so good. He was so good. So I gotta go with Shawn Michaels. Somebody wants to know, London wants to know, do you watch New Japan?
I do. Not as often as I was. Like I was really into New Japan when Kenny Omega was over there killing it. But as of lately, I just stay up to date with what's going on over there. Primarily, I'm like into WWE to the max.
Another question right here. If you could push one person in WWE, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's a really good one. So I would say Cesaro. I really like him. I think he's strong. Good look.
They never do anything with him. I don't understand it either.
I don't understand. They bury him in the tag division. It's not right because I feel like he could really push his own like individual character pretty far.
I'm happy that he has a match with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. He finally gets a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. I'm sure they're going to tear it down. I wish they would push Cesaro too. They really should have pushed him after they let him win the Battle Royal at WrestleMania 30 when he picked up Big Show and threw him over and people went crazy. And the next time on Raw, people loved it too. They had something there that they should have continued to.
Can I just throw in one more name? It's like itching me right now. I just want to throw in. I might throw in Ricochet. I might throw him in the pot. I might.
Really, Ricochet?
I think he's talented. I think they're not using him to his potential. I don't know if it's his look. Something there is just not connecting, but I like him. He's talented. And I think there's something they could really make, but they just haven't figured it out. I'm just going to throw him in the pot. I'm just, just kind of.
I wish they would put him back in NXT, to be honest. He thrived in NXT.
Yeah.
He'll thrive more in NXT than he won the main roster. It's just because they won't utilize him.
Yeah.
All right, one more question, then we'll get on to some other stuff. Favorite ruthless aggression and rivalry, and why? That's a good question.
That's a really good question. Oh man, I used to really. This one's kind of. There's so many good ones, but I'm just gonna throw one off the top of my head. I really used to love JBL versus Thuganomics John Cena. It's like real random, but I don't know. I was a big fan of it. Both characters were very different, and I like JBL because he was kind of a jerk, and then
he was a great heel.
Yeah, he was a great heel, and then John Cena was just not backing down. Like it was low key one of my faves. But it's probably an unpopular opinion.
No, I mean John Cena and JBL rivalry was amazing. I thought the I Quit match they had. Oh my goodness, like that was it's one of the bloodiest matches, I think in WWE history, is back before the PG stuff and everything. So I had to say for me though, it's got to be John Cena and Edge for me.
That's a good one too. Really, really good one.
I absolutely hated Edge when I was a kid. I couldn't stand him. Edge used to really piss me off.
Do you like him now? Because Edge, he's still.
Edge is great. Edge is great. He's one of the best. I mean, he's great now. But I mean, as a kid, you don't really look at wrestling as you do as an adult. You know what I mean? So obviously, I mean, John Cena is my favorite wrestler of all time. So obviously, John Cena was my favorite, and Edge was always. Edge just pissed me off so much, man. He really used to get under my skin. Like he's probably the only wrestler. Legit, he's probably the only wrestler that like really used to like really get under my skin. Like I had a strong hatred for Edge. Like because I mean, God, where do I start? So my favorite female wrestler of all time is Lita, and then he stole Lita, and then now Lita's with him, and I'm like, bro, like he has Lita. Cash him Money in the Bank on Cena. I'm like, dude. And then he cashed. My second favorite wrestler of all time is Undertaker. He cashed him Money in the Bank on Undertaker. I was like, dude. When he cashed on Undertaker, honestly, at that point, like, I made a vow that day that I was gonna hate him forever. It's like I'll forever hate him. I'll never like Edge. And I do like Edge, but he used to really get to me, man. Like Edge used to really he really used to get under my skin. Like I always hate like Randy Orton. I hated it. JBL I hated too. Even King Booker. Like I hated King Booker so much, but like. Edge was the only guy who could really get under my skin, bro. He used to solely piss me off so much, man. That's like he's such a good heel, you know what I mean? Like that shows you how much of a good heel he was, because like he used to really get to me. Like it used to be bad at one point. Like I used to get bad when he won matches and everything. The feud he had with Jeff Hardy in 2009, that was at a SmackDown. Maybe like 2 weeks before their match at Extreme Rules, their ladder match. And I was in a match. They had a match on SmackDown, like the winner of the match got the big stipulation. But like that day, like I remember like being in the crowd, like, oh, fuck you, Edge. Like I was so mad, but like I hated Edge so much, man. Like he used to really get under my skin. So keep the question. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say this is the part I break your heart. I actually loved Rated R Superstar Edge. I love that he was making people miserable. And just so you know, I'm like huge into heels. And I'm not talking about the shoes. I'm talking about the actual bad guys.
Oh, for sure. Heels are the best. Heels are the best.
He was one of the greatest, man. And he's still doing his thing. I love what Edge is doing. I can't wait to see Mania.
Okay, tell me first, 2 questions. You think he's winning at WrestleMania?
I'm unsure now. Now they're just
because they're swerving it now. SmackDown
swerving. I'm not sure.
What he did on honestly, I still think he's gonna win. But his reactions on SmackDown last week, now it's making me like, damn, man, I don't know. You know what I mean? Because some people think he's a heel, but I'm like, I don't know if he's really a heel because he not only beat up Daniel Bryan, but he beat up Roman too. So I'm like, I don't know.
I don't get that. Like, I hope they're not trying to turn Roman good again, because I'm like, dude, he was fine as a heel. What are you guys doing? I don't understand it. They're like flipping the switch. And then I wanted to ask, would you be surprised if Daniel Bryan won? Like, I keep telling people,
that's a sleeper. It's a sleeper.
Roman.
I don't think Daniel Bryan's gonna win. I'm not gonna be surprised if either of these guys win, because I think all 3 guys have a legit shot at winning, but the reason I'm thinking.
Would you be pissed if Daniel Bryan won?
No, I wouldn't be mad. I don't think it would make sense, but I just feel like this entire storyline has been built for Edge to win, from his promo on Raw to him coming in number 1 at the Rumble and winning the entire Royal Rumble to his redemption storyline. I never lost the world title. I want to get back what I never lost. So storyline wise, it makes sense for him to win, right? But now with his, maybe I look at more of Edge right now is that he's just desperate. He's mad Daniel Bryan's in the picture because it's one more person he has to go through for him to win the championship. So I don't look at him as a heel only because he's solely attacking both of them. Maybe different if he used to be a Daniel Bryan. Solely he just left Roman Reigns alone, but he's beating up both guys. So I think it's more of just he's telling the fans like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure I walk out WrestleMania champion. It doesn't matter if I got to beat up Roman or Daniel Bryan. Excuse me, but I don't know. It's kind of throwing me off. I've heard some rumors. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard some rumors that WWE is getting worried about Edge looking too old on television, and they don't want him. They don't want Roman Reigns to get cheered at WrestleMania, and they don't want Edge to get booed. So that's why they're kind of doing what they're doing. But I'm like, you can't prevent the fans' reactions. People are gonna accept Roman more now because they like his character now. They didn't like what he was before. So now that Roman Reigns is what he is now, people are gonna cheer him. Of course, they're gonna cheer him because he's cool now. He's the cool version of Roman Reigns. So of course people are gonna cheer him. You can't prevent people from cheering, somebody or booing somebody. But I don't know if that rumor is true or not, though. I heard a little rumor about that, but I'm gonna say Edge wins, though. Edge is someone I pick. I'm gonna say Edge wins. Just because of the story. Like, I don't see if Edge is not gonna win. Honestly, you could have just had Daniel Bryan win the Rumble. You could have had Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns on WrestleMania. You could have Edge do something else that didn't involve the championship. That's how I see it.
Yeah, like, I also wouldn't be surprised if they did all of this to make Edge look good, but then Roman Reigns wins. Like, it could go any way. That's what's going to be really exciting about this match, and I'm looking forward to it. I just hope that they don't ruin it. I hope that it's good, and I hope it's executed right.
I think it'll be good. So we talked about heels. Tell me who your favorite heel of all time is.
Triple H. I love Triple H. My favorite heel. I loved him during my time, Triple H, when that was his theme. I just absolutely love Triple H. He made a lot of people miserable. Had the look.
Reign of Terror.
Everything. I love him so much. I still do. And yeah.
So is Triple H who's the best heel of all time, though? Triple H the greatest heel ever, in your opinion?
Some people might even say it's Vince McMahon. Like, some people joke around when they ask this question, like, "Oh, is it?"
No, that's legit. My answer is Vince McMahon. Yeah, the greatest heel of all time.
It just might be Vince McMahon. Like, as much as I love Triple H, I might have to give it to Vince. You can never trust a McMahon. He's a crook, but then you gotta love him and respect him. But then other days you just can't stand him. He was fantastic, and I always enjoyed him during the Attitude Era, but Vince has had his moments even after that were so exciting, and you can consider him as the greatest heel of all time.
I would say Vince is the greatest heel of all time, in my opinion. My favorite heel of all time, it's a toss-up between Ric Flair and Randy Orton. Randy Orton is so good, man. So I feel like sometimes he's underappreciated. Like, the work he's doing now is some of the best work he's done in a long time, man. He's just growing on me, man. Like, originally I had him. He was in my top 5 best heels ever. He moved up to 3 after he set the Fiend on fire. I was like, he's number 3. He set a man on fire at this point. You can't get past that when it comes to heel work. I mean, you set a man on fire. Like, his heel work is like so top notch, and I honestly think that he could honestly make a case to be in the top 10 greatest ever. Like, some people don't have him. Actually, a lot of people don't have him in the top 10. But I'm like, dude, I mentioned Randy Orton a couple times. People are like, Randy in the top 10. I'm like, bro, you got to think about it. Randy Orton is a cop. He's done everything, and he's actually good. So, Randy, to me, first off, the feud with him and the Fiend is the best thing Raw has going. That's really the only thing I keep up with on Raw is that feud. That's the only thing I make sure I see every week. And And I'm still hoping some type of stipulation for this match at WrestleMania, maybe like a Hell in a Cell or an Inferno match or something. There has to be some type of stipulation, I think. But his heel work is top notch, man. I mean, especially his run last year in 2020, it was some of the best heel work he's done since like 2009, if you ask me.
Yeah, I love and respect Randy Orton. You know, my favorite Randy Orton was definitely after Evolution when he just decided to do his own thing. But no, he's still doing great things. I do think he's underappreciated. And also, I just kind of want to throw in, like, I saw that he said that he thought he would struggle on the mic or wasn't as good as other people. I found it to be kind of interesting because, dude, he was awesome on the mic. He has every component you would want in a wrestler. He kind of has, and I would definitely throw him in there as one of the best heels for sure.
All right, let me say some more. Let's do some more questions right here. Okay, favorite Royal Rumble and why?
Favorite Royal Rumble might be 99. I really like that one. It's, you know, it's probably was a fan favorite, of course, but a lot of my favorite wrestlers were in that one. The result was great. Like, it was just crazy. So I would say 99 is definitely one of my faves.
99, ain't that the one Vince won? Vince McMahon won?
Yeah, dude, it was awesome though. I loved it. And you know me, I'm one of these people I love, like, really. I don't always like the happy ending. I like the shocking ending. I like the one that makes people cry for some reason. That's just my style.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel a lot of reasons too. A lot of people, I don't know if you watch like Marvel, even like Marvel movies and shit like that, like Marvel and shit like that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I was happy when Thanos killed half the people in the MCU. Under Infinity War, after he snapped his fingers and the MCU wiped out, a lot of people in the theater were upset and crying. But I was like, I went home happy. I was like, you know what, I'm not mad. I can't be mad at Thanos. Get Thanos was gangster.
It's fun. It's different. I like it.
It's different. Mine would have to be 2005. 2005 or 2008 would be one of my two. 1992 was also a good one too, but 2005, that's honestly probably my favorite year in WWE, and 2005 was incredible. So, I would have to say 2005 for me. Favorite tag team in WWE?
Like, if it's all time, I'm going Hardys. Like, that's just my thing. But
right now, they don't really have any good tag teams right now, to be honest with you.
I'll tell you what tag team I miss. I'll throw one I miss in WWE. I miss the Bar. I honestly miss them, and I don't understand why, they ever were split up. I really like those two together. But as far as like current, there's really not one that I could be like, I love them. Maybe the Usos, but one of them is injured. Like, I don't really got too many to say that I love entirely. Like, I'm not impressed with the tag team division right now in WWE. It needs a lot of improvement on both men and women's side. I personally believe that they like to take random wrestlers and put them in a tag team and try to make it work for quite some time. And the titles are getting just passed around. It's just a disappointment, in my opinion.
I was at the Monday Night Raw when they first announced that Best of 7 series or something like that, which was Cesaro and Sheamus. Everybody should on it, but they ended up being a really good tag team together. So I got to give you props on that too, man. How do you feel about NXT moving to Tuesdays? Did they lose the Wednesday Night War to AEW?
I think this is good for NXT, and if you're a wrestling fan, you get, wrestling almost every single day of the week at this point, right? And it's exciting. I think it's a great move by WWE that they're moving, with the USA. It's great. I'm not opposing it. As far as did they lose the Wednesday Night Wars? Was it really a war? I don't know. It's really for you to kind of decide. But to me, I don't really see AEW as a threat just yet. That's how I'll put it.
I think it's better for NXT because it's crazy as it sounds. NXT is WWE's best brand, but not a lot of people watch NXT. So having them move to Tuesdays will get more eyes on the product because more people are going to watch AEW than they want NXT is because they have bigger star power in AEW. So I think it's a good move for NXT as well too. So. Let me get some more questions in here. Let me scroll up for you guys. Let me scroll So in case I missed some good questions, I'll scroll up real quick. This is a good one right here. Do you think Jeff Hardy won the himself with Matt or with Matt?
I think they'll put them together. I think the Hardys are gonna go into the Hall of Fame together. There's no way that they're gonna do it one way or the other. That would be a little weird. You know, even though they did have good singles careers, like I personally was a big fan of like Matt Hardy version 1. Like, dude, that was pretty cool. And I think Shannon Moore was, interesting. But I know when you think of Matt, you have to think of Jeff. And when you think of Jeff, you have to think of Matt. They're gonna go together.
Agreed. Thoughts on RVD going to the Hall of Fame?
I am so excited. I love RVD, and I think this Hall of Fame class, like at least what's been revealed to us, is so good. Like this has been one of the best in a little while, and RVD is so well deserved, man. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a huge like ECW girl. So I used to watch him against Sabu, and I used to just want to be just like him. Like even though my couches weren't as tall, but as like a ladder. But yeah, he was wild. He was acrobatic, amazing, and I'm just so excited for him and well deserved.
Favorite? Okay, since you're into ECW, favorite ECW wrestler all time?
It might just be RVD. It might be RVD or Sabu. And this one might sound like a little silly too. I guess it's not too silly. I was a big fan of like the Dudley Boys too. Bubba Ray, Devon, even Spike. Like Spike back in the the 90s, he was one wild guy too. Oh my God! Wait, let me just throw in two more. Tommy Dreamer and Sandman. Oh my God, I love those two. They're amazing.
Damn, you didn't even name my favorite ECW wrestler all time. I think to me he's one of the best heels of all time that you talked about. I fucking loved Raven, bro. Raven was my dude in ECW. Raven was my favorite.
So good. Oh my God. But I loved Raven, like Raven's Flock, WCW. Like I really messed with him in WCW, but oh my God, Raven is so good too.
Raven's feud.
Roster.
Raven's feud with Tommy Dreamer is one of the best feuds I think all time. Their feud was incredible.
They're so underrated, man. So underrated. Like people don't talk enough about these wrestlers. Like I'm always vouching for my guy Tommy Dreamer. He's crazy and I love it. Raven, another one. He's amazing.
Favorite giant? That's a good question. Who's your favorite all-time giant? So we gotta define the word giant, I guess. Obviously, when you say giant, when you say giant, the first person that comes to mind is Andre the Giant, because he's like the original giant. Big Show's a giant too, but are we talking about like the Undertaker count as a giant? Kane count as one because they're big guys. You know what I mean? Do they count as giants?
If he is going based off of that, like if it's a big guy, like we're going to just big guys. Aside from Undertaker, I feel like Undertaker's just God tier. I might just go like OG Kane. I love Kane so much, especially like around that time of his debut. He was just a presence, man. Like I'm not really happy with how they've treated Kane's character over the years, but I respect him so much, and I would totally be like, yo, Kane's my guy.
The same with Big Show. They ruined the Big Show a lot, man. It was very unfortunate they ruined him a lot because he should have. I'm not saying he should have got treated the same as Andre, but he should have been valued more as a legit giant. Like it was a shame what they did to him. Same with Kane too. Like the same what they did with Kane. It's just I think they had some duds throughout their careers for sure.
Just to add on to that, I agree. I think Big Show needed that same type of love. And I always make the argument that Kane's character, if they would have cherished it the same way they cherished Undertaker, they never put Undertaker in stupid gimmicks or like corporate Undertaker. You never heard of something like that. But, and then they took Kane's mask off early, and then they put this burgundy mask that I can't stand, by the way. It doesn't even match with the outfit. The hair is ridiculous. So it's like, man, like if you guys would have just valued that original Kane, or even like later on take off the mask, because he wasn't so bad when he first took it off.
No, he was dominant again. He was
like the slow chemical theme, like everything was perfect. But after that, it's like, why would you guys diminish that character? Like he could have been like something so damn legendary. Not saying that he isn't, but even more so than what he already is. It's unfortunate, man. It kills me. That's a conversation that I'm always like, damn.
He after they unmasked him, his run up until WrestleMania was extremely dominant. I mean, this man came out in shackles and chains. He electrocuted Shane McMahon's testicles. He set Jer on fire. He kidnapped and tortured RVD. Tombstone Lennon McMahon on the stage. I mean, like Kane was doing some savage shit. You know what I'm saying? Like some real.
Oh yeah,
he probably did more savage. He probably did more savage things in 03 than he did in '98. You know what I mean? Like he was doing all types of crazy shit. You know what I mean? But once again, they just. And it's weird too.
They didn't really value his character. Like they could have done so much more to value the character. But my whole thing with WWE, I think that sometimes they have these guys like Big Show and Kane and so many names that they feel like they can rely on and kind of just put them anywhere, especially when the product's kind of struggling. So they can try to make anything out of whatever they have. And that sometimes takes away from the character in the long run. So it kind of sucks to see.
That's how I felt about Big Show too, man. Like Big Show is a giant. Make him a giant. Why is he coming out in diapers? And I don't know. Another conversation for the day because it upsets me too. This one right here's a question: Fiend versus '97 Kane. Who would win? That's a question.
I'm sorry. I love the Fiend, but I'm going '97 Kane. I'm an old school girl, but sorry. There was nobody touching Kane. He was just too fire. He was amazing. Dude, he was explosive. Like the whole place lit up in red and when Kane would come out, and he was just one savage ass dude. I'm going Kane.
I love the Fiend too, but I think I gotta rock with Kane too. Kane was really dominant back in his day. I think I'm gonna have to rock with Kane too. I'm gonna have to rock with Kane. Oh, this is a good question. If Punk didn't drop the belt to The Rock, who should he drop the belt to? It's a good question. So first off, were you a fan of him losing to The Rock at the Royal Rumble?
Man, this one's tough for me. Excuse me. Because I love both. Like how can you not like Rock? But then CM is like, dude, he was amazing. Like he was at the top, So I'm not sure. This one's kind of a tricky one. I'm not too sure about this one because I'm feeling mixed emotions. I don't mind the way that things went down, but if there was a change in history, not really sure who I would want him to give it to.
Well, I'll be the first to tell you I hated it. Was not happy that CM Punk lost to The Rock. I wasn't even happy. I'm not happy how they treated him in general, but his championship run didn't feel important until he turned heel. He was champion for over a year, and he was barely in the main events. It was always John Cena in the main events when he wasn't even the champion, which I never understood to begin with. CM Punk, after that pipe bomb promo, they had a superstar right there in the palm of their hands that they silver platter. I mean, all you gotta do is just push him to the moon. Fans accepted him. They wanted him, and they never fully did it. They just kind of did it for it. You know what I mean? And him losing to The Rock, just for him to face John Cena again, it made no sense because the match was supposed to be once in a lifetime. You know what I mean? So it's supposed to be one match, but then they only did it just to give John Cena that win back. But if you want John Cena to win from the beginning, he should have won the match at WrestleMania 28, and then that was it right there. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't know.
Like that. It doesn't always make sense, but I guess in the long run, like knowing how it ended is like, all right, I could live with it at this point, but I don't know why they do stuff like that. It could be disappointing.
This one right here, favorite WrestleMania entrance all time. That's a great question.
Oh my God. Well, it definitely has to be Undertaker. And it's funny you asked this question because I forgot how much I loved Undertaker. Like when he was the American Badass coming down in his motorcycle, I was actually watching it earlier. I was like, yo, I used to love this. So, and you had the musician right in the center of the ring. They were just, performing the music, and you just saw him in his motorcycle just going straight down. It was just so cool. I think American Badass Undertaker is like so underrated in a way because people tend to like Ministry and just early on Undertaker, but if I think the rest
Ministry. That's my favorite. That's my favorite
Yeah,
Undertaker
I
finish.
gotta go there. What about you?
My favorite WrestleMania entrance. I had to say Triple H WrestleMania 30. That shit was sick. He came
Dude,
out
that
on the
was
throne and
so sick.
that
It
was
was
so
so good.
badass. Man. I also liked Rusev when he came out in the tank. That was legit too. When he came on that tank. That shit was gangster. I also
Yeah.
have to say I love the John Cena one when he came out with the Mafia at WrestleMania 22 when he shot off the machine gun in the air and everything. That was pretty dope too.
Oh,
I was
that
like,
one was sick. Yeah.
that was
So
pretty dope.
good.
I got to say those are the ones stand out in my mind too. Obviously, I kind of like Shawn Michaels coming from the rafters was iconic. Undertaker's WrestleMania entrance always been good too. You know what I mean? So I'd have to say those too. I'd say those. So how do you feel about the WrestleMania card this year so far? And this is like This is the first year, and probably over like many decades that there's no Brock Lesnar, no Triple H, no John Cena, no Undertaker on this
I
WrestleMania
just
card.
want to cry. I know people hate Brock Lesnar, but I love when he would come in and destroy on a part-time basis, and people would be arguing about it. But me. Like I said, I'm just
I'm a Brock Lesnar fan too. Brock Lesnar is one of my favorites.
yeah, I love him. But no, I'm excited. WrestleMania's card is looking real good. I am super super excited. If you were gonna ask me like match that you're looking forward to the most, might be Sasha and Bianca. I think there's so much potential there. I really like what I was seeing out of them in the last few weeks, and I know it's gonna be great. Like it's gonna be dope.
Do you think they should main event night one of WrestleMania, or do you think it's going to be Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't mind like either way, really.
I know people have been debating back and forth. Which one should be the main event, which one should be the main event. For me though, the card is actually not bad. I mean, that's why I think WrestleMania should be 2 nights moving forward because you can split up the hours for WrestleMania because 7 hour WrestleMania is just you're right, WrestleMania 35, so it's just way too long. It's way too long for a wrestling show, and I if I had to pick a match I'm looking forward to the most, it's gotta be Randy and the Fiend. To be honest, that whole story is just I've been invested so much in that whole story. The triple threat, I really want to see that too because honestly, even though I'm picking Edge to win, I'm not like 100%. I was 100% sure, like a month ago, Edge winning, but now I don't know. I'm not really sure anymore. It's kind of making me think. So, and I kind of like that too. I like that I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't want to know what's gonna happen until it happens. So that's how I like to watch things too. And
So,
it's
do you
crazy.
like the Fiend's new look? Are you like a fan? Do you think it's better than before?
It's not better than before, but it makes sense because he got set on fire. So I mean, it makes. They're putting so much effort. Like I said, WWE they put effort into this feud. That's why it's good. Why can't we do this with everything else that you do? I don't understand it. Like they put effort into it. It fits his character right now. I mean, what they should do with him? And it's kind of you've seen the Chucky movies, right? Child's Play and the Chucky movies. They should rebuild him. Like how Chucky got set on fire and then somebody remade him and then he was the new Chucky with the stitches and everything. Do that with the Fiend. After WrestleMania, you can have him go away for a little bit and you can have Alexa Bliss maybe like remake him or something like that. And he comes back with a different look. You know what I mean? So I think that would be pretty badass. Because he can't have that burn look forever. There's no way he can look like that, forever. So I think you should rebuild him and kind of like they did with Chucky, have him come back with a different look. But it makes sense though. His look, I think it fits him for what it is for now, just for this storyline. After WrestleMania, there's really no point in him continuing that look. I don't think because I'm sure his feud with Randy Orton is going to be over after WrestleMania. So.
Yeah, I don't dislike it at all. Like when he came out, I thought it was a dope, look. I like how WWE is getting real creative with the storyline. I just want to know what they're going to do after this. What's the future for Alexa Bliss? Because I was a big fan of her, when she was at the top going up against girls like, Sasha or Charlotte. Like, what is going to happen with her? I feel like they have really invested her in this character, which I don't mind. But I'm just curious to know what the future looks like for her. And for the rest of them, like maybe the Fiend will have a new look eventually, but I like what I'm seeing so far. It's kind of cool that they're being creative with this.
So you don't like you rather her go back to her old character than the one she has right now?
I really like the new one. I think, and especially this like new outfit they got her in, like they nailed it. The context, look at everything looks great. I don't mind her sticking with that character for a while, but I just want to see her back where she was at. Like she was being pushed well, she was being used because she's talented. I think she's great. She gave us such great matches before. Like we need to see her back at that. Over time, of course. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I also have a question, because I know you're so invested into this storyline. There's some people that believe that Nikki Cross should have been that girl. What do you think about that? Do you think Nikki Cross would have did a better job than Alexa Bliss or
I'm
not?
glad you asked that because I said this in my group chat. They should build some type of Fiend family around the Fiend, and they should add in addition for females and males. And Nikki Cross is definitely one of them. She had, because her and Alexa Bliss already have history, so it makes sense. I think Nikki Cross would be right, and Liv Morgan would fit perfectly in this Fiend, group type thing. You could do with the family, and you could build this women's stable up, and you can have them, basically like the Fiend is. You could have them have two different personalities. So you could have them attack people when the lights go out. You could put masks on them. They could have everything like that. So many creative things you could do with that. And Nikki Cross would have been perfect because she was Insanity in NXT, and she played that psycho character very well. So I think her, Alexa. First of all, Alexa Bliss is the most, for me personally, this is the most interested I've been in Alexa Bliss. Like she was cool, back then, but like she's, to me, this is the most interested I've ever been in her character by far. So I think they should continue to do this. And after WrestleMania, I doubt they'll do it. They'll never put like a big faction around them, I don't think. But Nikki Cross is a good fit though, just because she had that character before and we've seen her playing. She played it really good. So I think they could add it. If they're not going to add Liv Morgan, they could add Nikki Cross because she hasn't. When's the last time she was on TV? It's been forever too. So I think putting her,
which is a shame, by the way. It's a shame, dude. Like, what are they doing with her? Like, she's awesome. I don't get it.
You could maybe have like Alexa Bliss possess her, like the Fiend possess, Alexa Bliss. There's so many creative things they could do with it. My creative juices are flowing in my brain right now, but I definitely think there's so many creative things they could do with that as far as putting a little Fiend faction together. So, what about you? Would you be a fan of it? Or
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
I said, would you be a fan of it? Like, would you like the idea of it?
Yeah,
Like,
totally. Like, I'm always into like factions and into creative ideas. I'm fine with that. Now, I'm not necessarily sure if WWE sees it that way, but I think Nikki Cross is talented. I really like Liv Morgan. I feel like they're also not utilizing her to her potential. A lot of people wanted her to kind of be her own, character on her own, like doing her own thing. Because I liked when she first returned, like this look that she had, it was different, it was nice. She looks great. And she's not so bad. I just wish they used her better, but mixing it all in one pot wouldn't be bad either.
You remember that shit they did with her and Lana and Bobby Lashley when they brought her back and all of a sudden like she was in this romance with Lana and everything? I was like, what? Like I was actually kind of a little interested to see what they were gonna do with that because I was like, it's a little different, WWE. Like I don't know how you're gonna do this, but I want to see what they did, and then everything with it. It was like they did that one thing, and it was like, oh, we're not doing that again. So
yeah, like don't even get me started on Lana and Bobby Lashley. That's like a nightmare I never want to remember. I'm like, dude, why did that even happen? That was so weird. Like, it's like one of those storylines that's gonna go down as, yeah, we don't want to remember that. So, it is what it is.
All right, what is your favorite SummerSlam match all time? That's a good question.
Wow, favorite SummerSlam match. This one's tough for me because there's so many SummerSlam matches that I love so much. I don't think I actually have like an absolute favorite over the top of my head. Like I can't really think of one that I'm like, yo, this is like the one that stands out the most. But SummerSlam is always a pay-per-view that I'm looking forward to. One of the big ones. No, I would say don't really have like an absolute favorite. What about you?
Probably Triple H, Shawn Michaels, SummerSlam 02. That SummerSlam was amazing.
That was great one, man. Like, there's been so many great SummerSlam moments, but that one for sure is like those two guys going at it neck and neck. Like, it was just crazy.
I like Triple H, and that probably my favorite. Also, John Cena, AJ Styles was amazing. Really love that match. Um, Bret Hart versus Bulldog, SummerSlam '92 was amazing. CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, SummerSlam was amazing. So there are many, but if I had to pick one, I would probably say Triple H and Shawn Michaels, SummerSlam '02. Like, Shawn Michaels first match back in 4 years, and the man wrestled in cowboy boots, so he didn't even have a real title on. He wrestled cowboy boots and jeans. But like, that's how good Shawn Michaels was. Y'all, for y'all who didn't get to witness Shawn Michaels in his prime, the dude came out and didn't wrestle for 4 years. He came out in cowboy boots and jeans and put on a 10-star classic match. It was amazing. Shawn Michaels was really good, man. It was really good. So somebody said my mic is messing up. Am I like going in and out?
Yeah, like you're lagging a little bit, but I can still kind of hear you. It's
Okay. That's why you keep muting it, because I keep going out.
Yeah, because I don't want the mic to interfere with the audio, I guess.
Hold on real quick. Let me grab my headphones real quick. Maybe that'll help. Sometimes the damn speaker on here like messes up sometimes. Usually it works better if I have like the headphones in. So hold on. If I can find the damn plug for it.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time. It happens. This technology stuff is like.
You feel me?
Yeah, it's always like that. Tech issues in this new virtual world.
Yeah.
How it is.
Is that better?
So far, so good. If I mute, it's just gotta want it to interfere with your podcast. So.
Yeah. I didn't know I had to rewatch that shit. Damn, that's unfortunate. It's been going on for a minute too. I didn't know that was coming in and out. Like, damn. No way. Thank y'all for telling me.
But we can still hear you clearly. It was just speeding up a little bit, you're good. Trust me, you're fine.
All right, so let me see. This is a good question right here. Who would win on the mic, Chris Jericho or Samoa Joe?
That's a really difficult one because I really like Samoa Joe, and I'm actually a fan of him on the announce table, but I'm going Y2J all the way. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's incredible on the mic all around. Another wrestler that has all the components that you want in a wrestler, and he was so charismatic. Like, he could be that guy to just tell you off, and there's nothing you can say about it. So I'm going Chris Jericho all the way.
I think I have to go with Chris Jericho too. Y2J was, and Samoa Joe's great on the mic too. I've been a fan of him since he was in TNA, but oh man, Jericho on the mic.
He's tough, charismatic. That's what it is. Like, the dude is so charismatic, and it's a confidence behind that. And I'm not saying Samoa Joe doesn't have that, because he is also really good on the mic, dude.
Thoughts on Peacock removing WWE stuff from the network?
I want to fight him. Dude, I hate this. I don't understand this. Like, I get it. WWE is trying to, sign these major deals. They just signed one with like DraftKings. Now, the whole thing with Peacock. Personally, I get it. Like, they're trying to expand and try to, make that money. But however, I don't like it because it's like, this censorship is like, nah, it's unacceptable. I can only imagine what's going to be there from the Attitude Era. Like, what are they going to do with that? It doesn't make no sense. And the fact that you kind of already have to wait for that content, it sucks. I'm not a fan of it. I hope people are like really getting YouTube ready for when this whole thing happens, because we might not have access to that original content in a little while. However, even though WWE Network had already been editing some stuff, if you're like an OG fan, WWE Network had some episodes taken out of there, edited, but this might be to the extreme. So I'm not a big fan of it at all. I don't like this whole censorship thing. It's just not it.
At the end of the day, Vince McMahon got paid $1 billion, so he's happy. He don't care. It's $1 billion right there. So, and I ain't gonna lie, I did it too. for $1 billion. I'd have did it. Yeah, take it. You can have the network, but
Yeah, totally. They have to. You know, you can't, as a business owner, you can't do that. Like, you can't pass up on that opportunity. But as a consumer, gotta admit, for the fans, it kind of sucks, especially if you're somebody who likes to go back and watch all that stuff.
man, me, I'm one of them. I'm one of them.
It's
That's where I get most of my TikTok content from the freaking network. You know what I mean? Now,
oh, yeah, man.
they don't have half the stuff. They don't have half the stuff that I can post on Peacock right now. So
it's unfortunate.
I don't know. I hope that they can see that fans are not happy with them removing product, and I hope they can consider bringing it back for the fans, man. I mean, if you,
I don't know. Is it because Peacock caters to like a younger audience or something? I'm not sure why they would censor, because it's a subscription based, like, networking. It doesn't really make sense. You have to subscribe for a Peacock.
You know, I think they have to consider it, man. It'll only help you get more subscribers, because people are just going to not be happy with it. Some people may unsubscribe to their shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like it either. I'm not a fan of it. Like I said, Vince got paid $1 billion for it.
The pro though is that it's convenient in price. It's cheap. Like, it's not going to be that much money to subscribe to Peacock. That's the only pro I could think about. It's like the price is all right.
All right, I gotta ask you. So we both said we're fans of Brock Lesnar, but I gotta ask you, Brock ending the streak. Do you think it was the right call, or how do you feel about it?
I want to say I wouldn't have mind, like, if Undertaker would have just went undefeated, like the legend that he is. I'm okay with that. But then again, I love Brock, and I love when he makes people cry. And that was a moment in history, dude. There were people so shattered and shocked, because you kind of always expected it. Every WrestleMania, you kind of knew, like, come on, this is Undertaker, like, right? Like, who could beat him? But then, this validated that character people hated so much, Brock Lesnar. Just kind of how Paul Heyman says it with that, like that emphasis in his voice. It really put the staple on it. It was a nail on the coffin. But I would have been okay if Taker would have just went undefeated forever. But same time, it is what it is.
So, but do you think Brock should have been the one to end the streak, or do you think it should have been somebody else?
It could have been somebody else, yeah. I wouldn't have only given it to Brock Lesnar. I would have given it to somebody who had much of like a bigger significance in Undertaker's career. Some people, like, and every time I have this conversation, some people would mention, like, oh, why not like Kane, or why not like Shawn Michaels, or somebody like he had some good matches up against, somebody huge in his career. Like, I wouldn't have minded that either. But would that have given those guys the upper hand over Taker? Is that something WWE wanted to do? Maybe they just wanted to be random.
I think Brock was definitely the most believable. I think it should have been somebody like a Bray Wyatt or Roman Reigns, though. A younger talent that it would have benefited more, help make their career. Because Brock didn't really need the streak. He was already established, as a legend. So, but it definitely made his character more dominant, more believable. So, I don't know.
I'm going to be honest with you. I would have been pissed if there was a guy like Bray Wyatt. Roman Reigns, I might be like, all right. But Bray Wyatt, I'm like, no. This is the Undertaker we're talking about.
Bray Wyatt, though? Man, Bray Wyatt is the truth. I
feel like he would have been able to handle that.
Especially The Fiend? Oh, dude, The Fiend.
Yeah, that significance, that statement. Like, it had to be somebody that can carry it alongside with them for their, like, their historical ride. When you think of that character, like, damn, that person did that. Because here's another thing too about Brock Lesnar. Like, some people consider him like the original legend killer. You know what I mean? Like, people say, oh, Randy Orton kind of like took that from him. It's like Brock Lesnar was able to carry that chip on his shoulder, like that hatred of like, oh, this is the guy that, took it from Undertaker. He can carry that for the rest of his career. We're kind of going to know, like, all right, it kind of makes sense. It's believable. It's right. So I'm not sure Bray Wyatt could carry that. I got to see what the rest of his career looks like. But as of right now, I would have been pissed if it would have been him. I'd be like, no.
Really? So if the Fiend was around then, you wouldn't have been mad if the Fiend would have took the streak?
I would have been mad.
I think
this is Undertaker. Like, I hold Undertaker, like, dude, up here. Like, he's just like.
I mean, I do too, but I think the Fiend would have made the most sense because his character is super dominant and believable. And his character kind of it's more plays into the Undertaker type character as far as dark and mysterious and everything. And it would have made his career. He was a young talent that needed that. He would have forever been established, and they could have continued to push him as a dominant force after that. And I don't think too many people. Sure, people would have been mad if Undertaker lost at WrestleMania, but it would have been the Fiend. So, like, it would have been like, I think people would have been okay with it more than they would have Brock Lesnar, because I think it would help more than if it would have been Brock. Like I said, Brock was the most believable, but he didn't really need, I don't think he really needed the streak at that time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was like the necessity of the need for it. I don't know if that's why they did it. Like, I don't think Brock necessarily needed it, but I think they just kind of wanted to put that under his resume and just kind of compliment that historical run for him. You know what I mean?
All right, we'll take a few more questions here. Favorite Eddie Guerrero match? What's your favorite Eddie Guerrero match?
Favorite Eddie Guerrero match, man. He has so many under his belt, but it might have to be just any against Rey Mysterio. Because personally, like, I like their storyline. I know some people didn't like it; they thought it was annoying, like Vicky and all that stuff, the son. But I used to like them together because I knew it, like, they were close friends even leading back to like WCW. So for me personally, it was like an attachment to both of those characters. So I would say anytime those two would get into the ring, I would always appreciate them.
I have three and I have two. Actually, I have two. I'll just mention two. One of them was Rey Mysterio, him and Rey Mysterio, Halloween Havoc. And then the other one would be him and Brock Lesnar and No Way Out. Those would be the two that I really enjoyed off the top of my head.
That one was crazy. Like, Brock Lesnar's, dude, that was a huge moment for him.
Yeah. Favorite match from the streak? What was your favorite match from the streak? First, Undertaker's favorite match at WrestleMania during the streak.
HBK and Taker, he said it right. Dude, those, like, for me, it even goes back in time. Like, back like in the casket match with like Shawn Michaels versus Taker, and like later on to like a Mania 25, it was just like a big deal for me. Like, two characters that I was also so attached to. Even growing up as a kid, I watched both of them and I loved both of them. So when those two guys go up against each other, like, that chemistry that they had in that ring, to me, it was just personally, I felt a connection with both, and I loved it. I love their work till this day. I always go back and watch it.
Yeah, everybody knows mine is Shawn Michaels Undertaker WrestleMania 25. So nothing. I don't think anything works out that.
Dude, that was legendary, man. Like, when those guys would come together, even like from back in the day, it was just such a connection. Like, you can't top that. It was just so good.
How did you feel about John Cena getting destroyed by Brock Lesnar in SummerSlam?
Okay, guys, you guys are gonna hate me. All right.
I loved it. I loved it.
I'll take the heat. I love me some Brock Lesnar. I love when Brock Lesnar destroys everybody. And you know what? I love John Cena. Don't get me wrong, but I'm all about the beast Brock Lesnar. I was even a fan of Brock back when he was fighting Zach Gallen. Like, people hated that, or they thought it was controversial. But dude, I was that sick fan. Like, this is content right here. I was picking up WWE magazine at the pharmacy, and I was just seeing all these images of like really dope Brock Lesnar content. I'm like, man, this guy right here, he's going to do great things in the future. And that was one of them. And I love it.
I loved when he destroyed John Cena in SummerSlam. I mean, it made Brock look more like he just ended the streak, so it made him more look like a monster, bro. Like,
yeah, like, I like that. I like that monster part of his character. People might not like it, or they think like, oh, it's too much. It's like too much, but I love it. I love it. And it just, it validates him even as a heel, because like, when people don't like you, it must mean that you're doing something right. And he just has always nailed it.
Yeah, I loved it myself personally. It's crazy because I think he would even got more heat because the original plan was he was supposed to destroy Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam, and Daniel Bryan was so over in 2014. And, like, I think people actually like that he destroyed John Cena because John Cena is controversial. But, like, man, if he ended the streak and then destroyed the biggest babyface in WWE, Daniel Bryan, at SummerSlam, his heel heat would have been top notch. So I think it was the right call though, because that time period, I mean, Brock Lesnar was looking like, oh my goodness, like I didn't think he could lose a match. That's how dominant he was. I was like, there's nobody can beat this guy right now. Like, he's extremely dominant, and he was super believable, and he's always had that believable look too. You go back, you talked about his days with Zach Allen and everything. Like, Brock Lesnar's always had that look. Okay. He just has the look. Like, he just looks like a monster. Like,
I don't think they would ever get away with that storyline today. But dude, it was so good. Like, anyone who watched it, dude, there was blood all the time. The guys, Zach's family would be there, and Brock was beating him up and just,
And he had one leg too. He had one leg. That's the bad part about it.
So bad. But even Zach Allen, dude, like, he was nailing that storyline as well. Like, that man was talented. Like, he has a background even in the Olympics. Like, the guy was phenomenal. And for Brock Lesnar to be able to work in a storyline that could be challenging for some, dude, I give him so much credit. And I think that's kind of when I really started liking him to the max, where I was like, wow, he's coming in here destroying, but the fact that he was able to execute that storyline against this guy, that was really good stuff.
Yeah, it was crazy because Zach Allen had one leg. I remember when he F5'd Zach Allen's leg into the post, and he had one leg, so he couldn't walk. When he pushed him down the stairs in the wheelchair, when he threw him down the steps, oh my gosh.
Oh my god, when he would hit him like on that pole, I would be like, oh my god, this is
it was bad. And his mom sitting right there, and he's like, oh my gosh, bro, it was bad.
You're making me want, like, after this, I might just have to go and rewatch that whole thing because it was so good, dude. It was
bad. I mean, Brock Lesnar was like a true heel, man. He was. Yeah. He was, and as I said, he had the look. He just had the look. Like, he looks like a legit monster. You know what I mean? Like, he just has it. And when he did Zach Allen, it was pretty bad. Him and Spanky too. And like, he beat up Daniel. He beat up Spanky. Used to be Brian Kendrick is Spanky, for all people don't know. But when he was destroying the little guys, and I'm like, oh man, he was just.
It was great, and just something to add also to that. Is his moveset. I've always liked his moveset and like his gestures in the match. Anywhere that he goes, he always had that kind of like that jump. His clothesline, he would kind of go like that and just go right at it. Like, everything about his character, you kind of felt it. And even though you didn't like it or you maybe didn't respect it, you just knew he was a presence, and he's always been. It's so dope to see.
Another thing too that I always loved about Brock Lesnar, for somebody his size, he's an absolute great seller. His selling is amazing. His selling in the ring is when he wants to. If he really wants to sell for you, he will. But his selling in the ring is great, man. Hopefully he comes back soon. I really want to see him come back soon because I want to see him versus Bobby Lashley. I had to see it.
Do you think he's going to come back? Because, like, I saw that recent photo of him. Like, it looks like he's enjoying himself, like, in Canada. He's just
I'm sure he's – listen, Brock Lesnar wrestling is not his life. Obviously, we know that. So, I mean, obviously, I'm sure he's enjoying himself. But for the money, come on. I mean, he never turns down money. So
yeah, he likes his money. So maybe he'll come. And, Vince likes him. So who knows?
Vince cherishes him. So, I mean, I think Brock's just chilling right now. He's taking a little break. He's been working hard in wrestling for a little bit, so maybe he's taking a little break and everything. But I think Brock still – I mean, I think he may still have the passion to do it a little bit. So, whenever Brock – that's the one thing about Brock. Brock does whatever he wants legit. So, if he wants to come back, he will. He'll come back. So, I think I just want to see – I want to see him versus Bobby Lashley at least once. Like, we have to have that match just at least one time. Like, just – especially with Bobby right now, it's the perfect time. There's no better time right now.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I was a big fan of Bobby Lashley even back in WWE's ECW. And I felt like Bobby, like before leaving WWE, he was still he was like a top dog, dude. I really liked him. And I there was so many opportunities that I felt like could have been there for him. But, things happen and they parted ways, and it's nice to see him kind of back on top now. And I hope they make the use out of it. Give us some stuff that we could have had then and more, with these new guys.
All right. Before we get out of here, we talked about your favorite wrestler of all time. So I'm going to Jeff Hardy, but give me your top 5 favorite wrestlers ever. So I know Jeff Hardy is number 1. Who are the other 4?
Okay, so I'm definitely going Triple H. I love Triple H. One of the best. I got to go with The Rock. I love him. I was a big, I kind of want to throw Undertaker in there, but he's kind of God tier. So, I guess we'd throw him in there. But I was a huge, huge fan of Owen Hart. Like, I love Bret Hart and everything. And I would include him onto this list, but I was a big, big Owen Hart girl. Oh, and then, I might just even throw in... I might throw in the Big Red Machine, OG Kane. I might just throw in OG Kane.
Okay. It's not a bad list. That's not a bad. So mine is John Cena, Undertaker, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle. Oh no, sorry, Eddie Guerrero, The Rock, Kurt Angle. That's gotta be mine. So that would be my. Those are my top 5 favorites. CM Punk would be number 6. CM Punk, honorable mention because I really love CM Punk, man. He was like one of my favorites.
Do you think it's too late for him to come back and it actually matters?
No, I don't think it'll ever. If he ever comes back to wrestling, he'll get one of the biggest reactions you ever heard. Still to this, people still want this man to come back to this day. They ask all the time, when's CM Punk coming back? CM Punk ever going to come back? He's been out of wrestling since 2014, and people still chant his name in arenas. People still are begging for this man to come back in wrestling, and he hasn't been there in like 7 years. So whenever if he ever comes back, he will get one of the biggest pops you've ever heard, because people really, I think it shows how much not only he was over, but how much fans really love CM Punk. I'm telling you, WWE had a star in their hands, man. They had a legit superstar. I mean, John Cena was always going to be the face at that time. That's cool, but you had somebody to compete with John Cena at that time to take that brass ring, and it was CM Punk was that guy. CM Punk and Daniel Bryan actually both had that spot, but Daniel Bryan was after CM Punk. CM Punk, man, after that pipe bomb promo, he was so over. It just upsets me how they kind of utilize him a little bit. Like, I don't like they purposely, I think, kind of ruined his push in 2011. They made him lose to Triple H at Night of Champions, which was fucking terrible because Triple H didn't like CM Punk. They had legit beef, so I feel like he purposely tried to bury him as much as he could. And then when he won the WWE Championship, like I said, he was barely in the main events. So, like, why is he not in the main event and he's the champion? Like, and he's a good champion, too, at that. And people want to see him in the main events. And then you look, he loses the title to The Rock, which was nobody – I didn't like it at all. No respect to The Rock. I love The Rock, but he shouldn't have lost CM Punk. If he was going to lose to anybody, I guess it would have been cool for John Cena because John Cena was full-time wrestler back then, but they also had a great rivalry. So the story was there for CM Punk and John Cena to tell. But not only that, he loses to The Rock, who's a part-timer. Then he loses to Undertaker at WrestleMania, who's a part-timer. And then he loses to Brock Lesnar, who's a part-timer in the same year. And it's like they threw him in. He talked about how much he didn't like working with Ryback because Ryback hurt him, and then they throw him in there with Ryback again. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like
they did him a little dirty here and there, for sure. Like, he had every right to be upset. Him, AJ Lee, like, I understood, and I just want to also ask, would it shock you, or what would your reaction be if he came back at Mania? Like,
no, he's not coming back at WrestleMania. No way.
Do you remember when the Hardy Boys came back and everybody was like,
but I said that was going to happen, though. I knew that was going to happen because they said, I seen little rumors. I was reading dirt sheets and I heard rumors and speculations that they were coming to or they could possibly come back at WrestleMania. So I had that in the back of my mind, like, okay, well, there's rumors out there, but people didn't believe it because they had a match the night before against the Young Bucks for the Ring of Honor show.
Yeah.
But as soon, because I already heard the rumors, as soon as the New Day said there's going to be a 14-minute, I looked at my friend. I was like, it's going to be the Hardys. Watch the Hardys come out. He's like, no way the Hardys coming out. I was like, bro, I've been hearing that the Hardys are coming back. It's going to be the Hardys. And they came out. I was like, bro, I've seen too much about it, bro. So it's hard to stay away from dirt sheets and everything. But, like, if he ever, I'll say this, if he ever comes back to wrestling, it has to be unannounced. It has to be on the low. Like he can't tell a single soul that he's coming back because like you don't want it to feel unutilized. I mean, it's kind of like for me, I'll use an example. When The Rock came back in 2011, had absolutely no clue he was coming back. I marked out because I didn't know. I had no idea. I didn't know. The same with Brock the year after. I didn't know Brock was coming back. Had no clue he was coming back. I wasn't reading dirt sheets at the time back then, but like it has to be that type of feeling. You have to, and like when John Cena came back to the Rumble in 2008, like you didn't know John Cena was coming back tonight. You had no clue, and when he came out, you flipped out. You're like, oh shit, John Cena's like.
Yeah.
It has to be.
And that's the best feeling. Like if that stuff, dude, I'm telling you right now, I'm just gonna put it out into the universe. I'm not saying it would happen, but if they just surprise us with something like that, oh my god, I'm literally gonna flip out.
There's
I'm
no way.
just gonna
There's
tell
no.
you, man, that
Would you also have to understand too, though, is like he would have to. Him and WWE had to have a talk first. Like him, Vince McMahon, Triple H, like they all have to have a man talk and do business. I mean, Vince McMahon would do business with anybody. I mean, he's brought people back that people thought would never come back to the company. So Vince McMahon would be open to it. He brought back Bret Hart. He brought back Ultimate Warrior to go into the Hall of Fame. Bruno Sammartino to go into the Hall of Fame. So I mean, like money wise, Vince knows that he'll draw money. So okay, we'll do business, but they have to have an agreement. And CM Punk they have to do things that's going to help benefit CM Punk and make him happy, if he comes back. So I don't know. I just feel like
I'm still a big believer that if he were to come back at any time or AJ Lee, like I think people would freak out. It'd be huge. Like I'm a big believer that anything is possible. And I'm just
for sure
hoping for the best.
And when it comes to wrestling, anything's possible. Anybody could come back. I just feel like number one, they have to pay him what he wants, and they has to intrigue him. Like you said, it's something that has to make sense for him. He's gonna know his value this time. I feel like he come back. He's not gonna let WWE walk all over him. So if he comes back, he's going to I feel like stand his ground for his value, which he should. He should.
Absolutely.
But I just feel like I don't know. WrestleMania, excuse me. I don't see it happening, but I just feel like if he ever comes back, it has to be one of those unannounced things. Kind of like you remember when the night Undertaker returned, and then Triple H came out right after Triple H returned right after him. So like it was like a simultaneous return, and they had the little stare down in the ring for WrestleMania. It has to be like that because you knew Undertaker was coming back, but you didn't know Triple H was coming back. And then Undertaker comes to the ring, and then Triple H music hit. You're like, oh shit, Triple H is back to like. You have to have that reaction. You can't be like unannounced. You don't want to be spoiled by it. Like what I mean, like you want that type of overreaction, which is hard to do nowadays because of social media. So it's hard to keep it a secret. You know what I mean? So I feel like,
You're right.
And I think he'll be open to it. It just has to make sense. It has to make sense for him. And it just has to be the right thing. I just don't know. I don't even know if WWE wants him to come back. Like, from what I've heard, they haven't even reached out to him. You know what I mean? So I don't think they really have any ideas of him coming back. You know what I mean? But I hope he comes back someday too. I like to see him. I like to see him and AJ Lee having like a little heel couple run or something like that. You know what I mean? I think that would be pretty cool.
Sure. It would be dope to see.
All right, so appreciate you guys for joining. We're gonna sign off here. Once again, I'll tell everybody where they can find you, your social media, everything. Plug in your social media stuff.
So I'm Miss Thickums, TTV, almost everywhere, but you can catch me on Twitch under the same name, and I'm also on TikTok. So I'm sure you guys can just click the link in the bio and catch me there. I'll see you guys there.
So make sure you guys go give her a follow. More podcasts coming soon. Maybe Sunday, maybe the next podcast that I have doing some WrestleMania predictions. So make you guys stay tuned for some future podcasts going up in the future. You already know. Make sure you check out my TikTok stuff. Go follow her. Show her some love. And I appreciate everybody for being in the chat. Always leaving your questions, man. It's always much love. So I appreciate you guys. You all be safe.